What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is A Battle for the Ages. Fantasy author v. fantasy author. Tolkien v. Martin. One finished his series, the other didn't. But in a tale of television, these are both prequels.
True. You know what?
But
it is the prequel era.
To be fair, Martin actually finished his prequel, and Tolkien's keeps getting released unfinished. So I don't know what to say.
I mean, to be fair to Tolkien, I don't think he would have ever released them. It's other people releasing it for him.
I mean, they just put out like a 1,300-page book, so I don't know.
That's what I mean.
They put out both these trailers together, and we were like, what if we did a little double reaction compare-contrast?
Fantasy v. fantasy.
Fantasy v. fantasy. Let's dive in. We're going to start with the Rings of Power because that one was dropped online first. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they say end strong. So we're going to watch the Rings of Power first. Here we go. You know what? I'm really hoping this changes my mind.
Me too.
That's what I'm hoping for about season 1. 3? Oh, no. What am I doing?
An evil, ancient and powerful, has returned.
Has returned! Ooh, I like that.
Prepare yourselves. Hey.
Oh, Elrond with a sword. Very fun.
He worms his way inside your mind. The crest of him slithers in.
I think he has been here. I think he's been here among us all along.
Oh, they're gonna retcon him into the elves. Okay.
Every soul in Middle Earth is in peril.
The creature visuals look great.
Yeah.
Oh, Ring of Power. Wait, that's what the thing's called. You get an eagle.
He's so long.
Oh, damn. Y'all are
Gandalf
fucked.
never did shit like that. He must already have the Ring of Power.
August 29th. God damn it.
What? No, it's perfect. It's after everything else that we're watching.
No, it's while we're going to DragonCon.
We'll deal with that later. Okay. Thoughts.
Visuals look great.
Visuals look great.
Yeah.
They're clearly going to retcon Elf Halbrand to have been there the whole time.
Yeah.
So that the, like, plotline confusion of season 1 goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to.
Yeah, which is honestly a really smart choice, I think. I think that, like, if I was that team and I was like, look, we made a television show that was remarked upon for its visuals, but the audience for it really struggled with, not everyone, it definitely had its fans, but
Sure.
I think that the consensus around people's feelings towards the way in which they condensed the timeline was not universal, but the majority of Lord of the Rings fans I've spoken to felt that way.
Sure.
I also feel like, given the drastic decline in viewership across the series from episode 1 to the end, I'm not surprised that season 2, it looks like they're going to be leaning into the stuff that did really well in season 1. Elrond,
I was
Durin,
gonna say, was Gandalf even in that trailer?
not
at
showing
all?
the Harfoots, not showing Gandalf.
Like, at all.
Leaning into, I think, the things that worked while also setting up, hey, we heard your complaints. We are going to try and massage the story of season 1 so we can move forward with kind of a fresh slate. In that way, I think this trailer does a good job of having visuals for the people that liked season 1 that are like, that show still exists.
And show what the focus of the story is.
Yeah.
Because season 1 was very unfocused.
Yes, I agree with that.
I think it was a bit all over the place for me in terms of storylines.
It felt like they felt the pressure to be about all of Middle Earth.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, they were like, oh, we have to show something going on everywhere.
Yeah.
And this while it kind of still has that vibe a little bit, it definitely feels less so.
It feels less like
And
a
honestly,
bunch of different characters doing a bunch of different things, right? Elrond and Galadriel are together, and I think maybe the only ones that'll be separate are the dwarves, because I didn't really see the dwarves with any other...
There's simply no way
I'm
give
not...
up on the chemistry between Durin and Elrond when it is the thing that is praised, right?
They better not.
I don't know. I think that given the response to season 1, this was a really solid first trailer.
Yeah, I actually was pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Granted, how much they retcon, like if they try and say like, well, all the other rings were made previously, it's gonna feel a little goofy to me.
Well, yeah, because like clearly the dwarven rings come up here, right? Because
which were made before the elven rings in the canon.
Yeah, they're just like we didn't mention them ever once in season 1.
Well, but it's because oh my god, what's his fucking the ringsmith? Celebrimbor discovers that circles are a perfect shape in season 1.
And like what alloys are?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The power just bounces around. I don't know. And look, I'm the guy that's like retcon it. It didn't work, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have to massage it to make it work, do that. I would rather them do that than feel like they have to like hard-headed just plow forward.
You know what might actually be interesting? And I believe they filmed season 2 stuff before season 1 dropped. Am I wrong about that, or do you remember?
I can't remember the timeline exactly.
I can't remember.
But they did a lot of reshoots after season 1.
But I wonder if they're going to almost finagle the story somewhat so that you can watch this show starting at season 2.
I wouldn't surprise me that much.
Yeah, right?
You know, there are definitely television shows where like you can pick it up kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Or where like you can watch a like YouTube explainer.
Yeah.
And then kind of jump into the next season.
Just because of like how focused at least this trailer was. Now I'm basing this all off of one trailer.
Yeah.
But it was very focused on like the central story of the rings and Sauron and Galadriel.
Yeah.
Which I'm like cool with. Mm-hmm. And if they're like, hey, people didn't like season 1, if we make season 2 accessible enough that we can kind of maybe like, you know, like don't worry about that one. Moving forward, we're going to take people's critiques into account and like, you know, be a little less all over the place and hone closer to the lore that people are familiar with.
I think there's some value in that. Not because I think that everything about season 1 is a tragedy.
Yeah.
I actually really think that like the Elrond Durin stuff in season 1 is so
fantastic.
Worth your time.
Yeah.
I think those actors are amazing. I think that the set pieces. I'm really glad we didn't see the Balrog in this. I don't want the Balrog to come up for a while. Mm-hmm. It's too soon. Mm-hmm. The thing I would add to that is this is a show where season 1 is only 8 episodes, but all those episodes are over an hour.
Yeah.
And I think that if you were the studio and you were like, hey, most of over 75% of our audience did not finish season 1.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring back the most expensive show on television for season 2. We need those 75 million or whatever who watched episode 1. We need them to give season 2 a shot.
Yeah.
And not expect them to go watch all like 9 hours of 8 episodes that is season 1. Mm-hmm. I think it is a good chance that they're going to put this out in a way where the audience who does give season 2 a chance, which will probably be higher than the amount of people who dropped off before the end of season 1, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to see that number tick back up. There's going to be a level of interest. It's been 2 years. A lot of people's memories will have massaged the narrative and they'll remember the best parts of it and the worst parts, but not all the mid. And I think that like what killed Lord of the Rings of Power for me wasn't actually the stuff that was bad. It was a lot of the stuff that was in the moment very draining and mid. So it just kind of like lagged because it was so long and because it jumped around so much and because not all of it was interesting. The peaks of interesting are the things that I kind of remember now. Like, I honestly can't tell you that much about the Harfoots 2 years later, but I remember all of Elrond and Durin's relationship.
The problem for me is that what I remember distinctly about the Harfoots is that we all walk together.
He's the woman wanting to steal the wheel.
Except if you fucking hurt yourself, then fuck you, you're on your own. We don't give a fuck about you. And
Let's steal the wheel off their cart so that the children die is still one of the most insane things that that show did.
Yeah.
And like, but that's the only thing I remember about the Harfoots. And then Gandalf being like, "Rrr," and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
The people's memories are going to massage the show one way or another. Some people are going to hate it more because of time, and some people are going to love it more because of time. But I feel like there is potential here. There's so much money. I think the cast is really good.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the elf. The darker skinned elf from the south.
Oh,
I love him.
fuck.
I think he's really talented, and
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that he kind of has more interactions with the other main cast in season 2.
Yeah.
Now that I think they're together. I didn't
We
see
got
him
a
in
shot
that one
of
action
him,
shot.
but he was just alone, I think.
Yeah.
So, we'll
So I'm
see.
curious if he's on a solo mission again. I'm curious if he's with his human love. Maybe they're separate because he doesn't want the other elves to know that he's in love with a human. Like, I think that there's potential here. And I honestly, I did like to see the teaser trailer. I don't have much negative to say about
was
it.
pleasantly surprised, so I actually give it a thumbs up.
What if we don't like the House of the Dragon trailer?
That will be
This
awkward.
video will be so weird.
Yeah, that will be really awkward, but let's check it out anyway.
The one thing that this is not a totally fair comparison is that this is a trailer and that was a teaser. So we are comparing, this is the second, technically the third look because they did the green and black thing.
Right.
So this is a full trailer. This is going to have a different vibe from Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Still a bad title. Let's dive into this.
Let's do it.
The Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne is not just a king or a queen.
No, we never
They
saw
are a
the
protector of the realm.
That was weird.
It might have been ice, though.
Now I find myself
Before.
in an impossible position.
All hail,
I feel
King
like
Aegon!
not. It's too large to
The enemy usurped my throne.
We're going to King's Landing. Well, what are we going to do about it?
War!
Play the board before us.
Proceed cautiously.
Fuck dignity! I want revenge.
Oh, good.
News spreads through the realm. The great houses will come to our side.
I did not think they would be so eager to die.
My ships sail at your command.
Hey.
The realm's only hope is in a leader strong enough to unite it.
Do you accept me as your queen and ruler?
That's going to be fun. Ooh, framing the season around like a tension between the two of them.
Shall none of us prevail?
Not like this.
Alicent holds love for our enemy. That makes her a fool.
The enemy without may be fought with swords. The enemy within is more insidious.
Yeah,
There
this
is more
looks
than one way
like a lot.
to fight a war.
They're like, don't forget, this is Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
There will be backstabbing and there will be sex. That was a great shot.
Yeah.
It's coming. And neither of us may win.
Ooh.
Another shot.
Interesting.
I am I'm happy to see Alicent feeling some regret.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It humanizes her a little bit. Makes her a little bit more real. I agree.
Cause she's made some like insane decisions.
Yeah. Who hasn't on this show though?
Well, yeah, like there, you know, that is kind of the vibe. Those dragons look fucking good, and there was a lot of them in this trailer.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting about House of the Dragon, and I think one of the things that is going to be difficult for them to improve upon is the dragon visuals. Noticing, looking at Rings of Power in this back to back, it is interesting how Rings of Power does have so much room to create new images, and House of the Dragon is kind of stuck with a palette that has been around since I was a kid, right? Like the game of, not a kid, I think I was in my senior year of high school. What year was Game of Thrones? 2009?
Maybe?
Yeah, so I think my senior year of high school. the palette of that show, it must be later than that.
Your senior year of high school was 2010.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. But the tough thing for them is creating new for the show.
Yeah.
Without just going darker and darker until you can't see anything.
Yeah.
I
think maybe 2012. I don't know.
It might have been while I was in college.
Yeah.
But it is interesting looking at it and looking at these two trailers side by side, and like the potential victory for Lord of the Rings is its ability to create something that we haven't seen before.
True.
Whereas House of the Dragon really has to be so good in the drama because the dragons look great, but they've always looked great.
Yeah.
Like I at no point during even the first Game of Thrones was I ever like
the
dragons look bad.
Yeah, true.
We had some silly moments with them where like, Daenerys forgot about a fleet of ships, but the visuals have been consistently good across the board.
Yeah.
When they are visuals and not the audio podcast that the show became at points. I don't even make fun of it for being dark that much. Other people complain about that more than I do, but it is such an easy joke now.
Yeah. And I feel that, House of the Dragon had its own moment with that last season where people were like, what is happening?
Where they're like, is there a child getting on a dragon, or is this a shot of Daemon and Rhaenyra having sex? I actually don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, Rhaenyra and Daemon having the conflict that like Daemon has always like struggled with in a way, right? Like
with every woman he's been with?
Well, but also on top of that, like her being his queen, and like he clearly finds that like emasculating in a way,
which is so goofy.
I mean,
like it's such a goofy thing to be emasculated by your partner while you guys are fucking like flying around on dragons murdering people. You know what I mean? Like it's silly in a way for him to be such a like limp dick dude, literally sometimes. That like. Because if I was like, hey, I don't have to go to all of the meetings, but I get to fuck this hot blonde lady that I'm related to.
Yeah.
And I get to fly around murdering people with my dragon fire, I'd be pretty okay.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't have a lot of those kind of insecurities in my life now, and I don't have a dragon. But I'm like, I just feel like even if you had more insecurities than I do, I feel like getting to ride a dragon all the time would make up for that.
You would think. You would think. Daemon is complicated. I think that's why so many people love his character dearly. Matt Smith of it all helps. You know what I mean? But so some of the things people say about Daemon, I'm like, he's not like a great dude. Oh, you know that, right? Like.
But here's the thing, and this might be the most controversial thing I say today.
Oh.
Women on the internet say a lot of bullshit about what they want in a man that they do not want. And I really do.
That's true.
Find the lines women draw online, particularly book talky girls or like
when it comes
fandom
to like
girls,
hot fantasy characters.
Yeah, versus what you would actually want in a partner.
Yeah. He's actually a murderer. Yeah, but it's fine. I can fix him. He's hot.
Like the idea that Daemon would put his shoes on the shoe rack when he gets home is laughable.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of like this two sides of the like TikTok discussion of women harping on their men, right? It's the like
Daemon would not
men
have a
are
bed
not
frame.
hot and comfortable. No,
he would not have a bed frame unless the servants of the palace put it there for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's this double-sided argument where people want like, I want my guy to be this like feral, manly, stubbly like man who like has his own scent and like commands the room. But then they're like, my husband smells like shit, comes home, doesn't put his shoes on the rack because he thinks that it's his house and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And there's like this weird divide. And I'm like, you will settle eventually for the guy that is kind to you.
Yeah, Daemon.
And listens when you talk.
Daemon would absolutely be the kind of guy who pretends not to know how to wash the dishes. You know what I mean?
To be fair, Daemon does not know how to wash dishes.
Yes.
Because he's been rich his whole life.
Sure. But I mean, he would never... Rhaenyra would be like, yeah, I just came home from a long day of ruling the fucking kingdom.
Like, Daemon is the kind of rich where he doesn't know how to button his own clothes up.
Probably.
Because he's never done it before.
Yeah.
And he just rips the buttons every time he wants to have sex. You know what I mean? If there's not someone there to take his clothes off for him, he rips out of them.
Yeah.
you don't want that.
No.
You just don't. You do not want a man that will give you great sex for 3 nights and then plot your downfall so that he can have more power. That's insane.
He did murder one of his wives,
But
remember?
like these people on TikTok, these people will literally be posting the most unhinged shit. And I'm like, girl, you are not okay.
I know.
The hear me outs have gone too far.
And here's the thing. I think the hear me out is for like, you know, to give the benefit of the doubt. The hear me out is like a one night stand, which I get it. But like you could
I'm
not
talking
marry
about the
that
hear me
dude.
outs that are like, I wish my husband was more like this. And I'm like, I don't think you do.
I don't think you do.
You know who was like that? King Henry. He beheaded 2 of his wives.
Yeah. But he wasn't. He was ugly though.
So, Clarus, right now, which trailer was better?
Huh. It's super interesting because my like enjoyment of Rings of Power was like down here, but my enjoyment of House of the Dragon was like up here, right?
Yeah.
So the trailer actually impressing me, I feel like is a bigger feat. Whereas like I knew the House of the Dragon trailer was gonna be good because I really liked the show and I've liked the other trailers, and so it was just kind of like where I expected it to be.
I agree with that in that I actually found the House of the Dragon trailer to be less exciting. I'm gonna say something. No, this. You know what? I called out all womanhood, but mostly as a joke. Please understand. I'm married. Like I'm not like some
Don't piss
misogynistic
off
asshole.
book talk.
Although you can be misogynistic asshole and be married. That's a weird defense. I just pulled the like I have a black friend defense, but for
misogyny.
feminism.
Yeah, seriously.
I think that I liked the green and the black trailers more because I felt like they were a little bit more interestingly done. And so this trailer feels like, hey, if you like that green and the black trailer, the show is coming out.
Dragons.
Whereas I actually think that the Rings of Power did more, as someone who is not the biggest fan of season 1.
To sway you?
To sway me that, like, give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say Rings of Power was the better trailer today. In terms of what the goal of the marketing is.
Bold.
But I say that thinking that, like, House of the Dragon was one of my favorite shows the year that it came out, and Rings of Power, despite elements that I love, was one of my biggest disappointments. Yeah. So it's not, they're not playing on a fair playing field to begin with.
Yeah.
But the fact that I watched Rings of Power trailer and didn't make fun of every element of it, I think says a lot about
That's a win.
What they've accomplished for season 2.
A win is a win.
Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I came in here ready to be like, Gandalf looks like an idiot.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would have probably had better criticism than that, but
maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, I came in here expecting, like, we're going to get through Rings of Power, and then we're going to get to House of the Dragon, the one I want to watch.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was watching the Rings of Power trailer going, hey, you know what? It looks like maybe there is a season 2 here. I can't be mad at that.
Yeah. Props to you. Well done.
If you like the video, like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch those reactions, subscribe, because we're going to do them here. Thank God they're not at the same time, because that was tough with season 1, because they were literally, like, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
Or what day? Maybe it was Thursday, Friday?
I don't even know.
It was bad. It was too much. It was too much fantasy. They were competing in the, like, they should lead into one another and build each other rather than be like, do you have 2.5 hours to watch fantasy this week?
Yeah.
For the wide audience, obviously, I will make time. If you want to follow us on the internet, you can. I'm at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
Hey. Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye.
Bye.